Hey guys, okay, today we are going to talk about how to solve equations with a variable on each side of the equal sign. Make sure you write down everything you see on the screen and make sure you write down everything that I write down. Your objective for today, you will be able to find solutions to equations with variables on both sides of the equal sign and justify the answer. So what you see below is an equation that has a variable on each side of the equal sign. We have an x on the left and an x on the right side. So even though they're separated, they both represent the same number. So keep that in mind as we're working through these problems. So to solve an equation with variables on both sides, the first thing we want to do is combine like terms that are on the same side of the equal sign. Next, we want to use zero pairs to move all variables to one side of the equal sign. Third thing we want to do is solve the remaining equation by using inverse operations to isolate the variable. And finally, we want to check our answer. So example 1, we have negative 2x minus 7 equals negative 4x plus 1. I want to combine like terms on the same side. So on the left, we do not have like terms. This number has a variable. This one does not. We cannot combine them. And then on the right side, we have the exact same situation. So we move on to step 2. Now we want to get our variables onto one side of the equal sign. So I'm going to go ahead and carry the equal sign down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this negative 4x and I'm going to bring it to the other side. So I have to use the opposite of a negative 4x, which would be a positive 4x. I'm going to keep that plus sign in front of it. That's the same as adding 4x to the other side. I know that this cancels because a negative 4 and a positive 4 make 0. It's a zero pair. And I'm just left with a positive 1. Over here, I know that negative 2 plus 4 is a positive 2. So I have positive 2x. And then I just carry down the minus 7. Now I have 2x minus 7 equals negative 1. Now we just have a normal two-step equation. So I want to isolate x. The first thing I'm going to get rid of is this minus 7. The inverse of that would be to add 7. So I'll do that to each side. So 2x equals 8. Now I want to get rid of this. The inverse of multiplying by 2 is to divide by 2. And 8 divided by 2 is 4. So x should equal 4. So now I want to check the answer. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rewrite the equation that I have, but every time I see x, I'm going to plug in the number 4, because remember each variable represents the same number. So that means that negative 2 times 4 minus 7 should equal negative 4 times 4 plus 1. So on the left, I know that negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. So negative 8 minus 7 should equal whatever this is. Here we have negative 4 times 4. That's negative 16. Bring down the plus 1. Negative 8 minus 7 is a negative 15. Negative 16 plus 1 is a negative 15. Those equal each other, so this checks out. Now you might be asking yourself, would it matter if we brought negative 2x over to this side instead? And I'm actually going to work that out with you to show you that it actually does not matter. Okay. So let's say that instead of bringing the negative 4x over, I want to bring the negative 2x over. So if I have a negative 2x, I would need a positive 2x to make a zero pair. So that's like adding 2x. This cancels and I'm left with the minus 7. Negative 4 plus 2 is a negative 2x plus 1. Now I want to isolate x. The inverse of adding 1 is to subtract 1. Negative 7 minus 1 is negative 8. That cancels and we're left with negative 2x. The inverse of multiplying by a negative 2 would be to divide by a negative 2. And negative 8 divided by negative 2 is 4. So it doesn't matter which side you bring the variable to as long as you keep all your variables together. All right, example 2, we have 6x plus 1 equals negative 5x minus 32. So I'm going to bring the equal sign down. I don't have any like terms to combine on the left or on the right side, so we move on and we just want to get our variables on the same side of the equal sign. So I'm going to take this negative 5x and I want to move it over to this side. So to make a zero pair for negative 5x, I would need a positive 5x, which is just like adding 5x. This cancels. I'm left with negative 32. On this side, 6 plus 5 is 11, so I have 11x, and I carry down the plus 1. Now I just want to isolate the variable. The inverse of adding 1 would be to subtract 1. This makes 0, so I'm left with 11x, and a negative 32 minus 1 is a negative 33. The inverse of multiplying by 11 is to divide by 11. I'm left with x. Negative 33 divided by 11 is a negative 3. Now I have to check the answer. So I'm going to take negative 3 and I'm going to plug it in for every x that I see in the original equation. So 6 times negative 3 plus 1 should equal negative 5 times negative 3 minus 32. 6 times negative 3 is a negative 18. Carry down the plus 1. Negative 5 times negative 3 is a positive 15. And bring down the minus 32. So now, negative 18 plus 1 is negative 17. And 15 minus 32 is also negative 17, so this checks out. Example 3, we have 2x plus 40 plus 8 equals 10x. Well, now we have like terms on the left side of the equal sign. We have this 40 and this 8. So we're going to take 40 plus 8 and combine them to make 48. And then I'm just going to bring everything else down. So we have 2x plus 48 equals 10x. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2x and I'm going to bring it over to this side. So if I have a positive 2x to make a zero pair, I would need a negative 2x. That's the same as subtracting 2x. That cancels and we're left with 48. And 10 minus 2 is 8x. The reason I did it this way was because if I would have taken the 10x and brought it to this side, we would have had 0 over here. And we want to make sure that we keep it balanced. We don't want to just have 0 on one side. So 48 equals 8x. The inverse of multiplying by 8 is to divide by 8. And 48 divided by 8 is 6. But I still need to check. So I'm going to take 6 and plug it in for every x that I see. So I have 2 times 6 plus 40 plus 8. That should equal 10 times 6. Well, we know that 2 times 6 is 12. We know that 40 plus 8 is 48. And 10 times 6 is 60. 12 plus 48 is 60. Those are equal, so this checks out. All right, now it's time for you to try. Go ahead and solve these two problems. Make sure you check them both. Make sure you have completed them entirely so that you can get full credit on your notes. Have a great day, and I will see you next class day.